Let's get together to co-create a breakthrough for freedom of energy, sustenance, healing, and regeneration of the human vessel. Welcome to FESIG, the Free Energy Special Interest Group, where science meets spirituality in the quest for truth and knowledge to free humanity and transform this planet into a paradise.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. This is our physics 80th meeting, and we are having a great time because we have some very amazing speakers today with us. Okay, without much ado, I'm going to share screen so we can look at the meeting agenda so you know what's really going on right here. Okay, right, so sorry, Yu Henyo. Sorry, I have problems pronouncing your name. Sorry, Dr. Jerry, PhD. And he talked about eternal life versus death science technologies. He talked about the first creation dynamics and the natural laws of multidimensional physics currently used in black projects such as the Secret Space Program, SSP, within the industrialized military complex. And now, in the second session, we have the special speaker whose name is Rene Swain, and he is Arcturus Ra, and he actually is a consciousness engineer for human civilization and planetary advance. He talks about photonic L level activation, interstellar biovital dynamic, intracellular biovital dynamic enhancement, chakra harmonizer, intra-super-luminous cell communication amplifier. And I was really fascinated at how he built an Atlantean ascension bed for therapeutic cell communication treatment. Rene, we are really looking forward to you showing a bit of that as well, and how you built it, and how are the benefits of people using that. And once we finish the Q&A, then this meeting will be adjourned to the 81st FESIG meeting on the 7th of October. Right, so if you want to contact me, please write to crystal@truevisionofpeace.com. And our website is visionofpeace.com/physig.html. And we have our YouTube channel. Just follow and support, and what do you say that? Okay, and then go to our Facebook page as well, and you'll see announcements of meetings coming up and all that. Okay, so right, I'm going to introduce Rene. Rene Swain, aka Arcturus Ra. He is an Arcturian Starseed, awakening to purpose Starseed ambassador. Arcturus Ra shares his personal awakening and his remembrance of being an Arcturian Scientist and Starfleet Commander, and how he has stepped into his mission on the planet. He also shares his knowledge of the mysteries of the universe, how to bioback yourself into see other dimensions, where we go at night when we sleep, and much more fascinating information about his and our ET heritage. He actually was speaking at the 4th Annual International Transformation Shift Events and Planets Living Conference, and that was really good. So over to you now, Rene. Thank you so much for gracing our meeting today. We're all looking forward to your presentation.
So open your minds, for there's much more going on, and we have little but a clue, and we're like blind mice putting it together. Imagine you are galactic consciousness in a human body. You think you're human, and then you wake up to speaking different languages that you're not aware of. One I channeled, which I had an instant access and instant knowledge, never learned that, never studied that in my life. I have that script still here. That's ancient Aramaic. And these are scripts you won't find in scrolls, because these scrolls got destroyed when Earth got hit by a soliton wave. So they explain to you the soliton wave. Mary Hardy, who studies scalar waves, Terence McKenna, who takes mushrooms, talking about the same thing. What I follow is not science per se. I follow pattern. I'm looking at, are two people saying the same thing? And is this, can we replicate this? Can we do this? So also what's going to be very interesting for the guy with the Rodin coils. When you deal with electricity from fallen consciousness, you will not evolve. That system will not reach levels where actually the magic takes place. When I have contact with the Arcturian Council, beings that look like this, and I know in my other state I look like this, and I was seen as such by a person that tripped on psychedelics, and they were scared to death because I apparently shapeshifted. Just many confirmations that I look like that in the other realms. Fallen consciousness technology is the electricity that runs this planet. 60 hertz cuts the basically the electromagnetic frequency of the Schumann resonance as it going from 1 to 7.83 hertz. It pulses. And that's what creates life. Jacques de Montigny, the finder of the retrovirus of AIDS, Nobel Peace Prize winner, still under subject to ridicule for his findings. And I'm explaining this, it might sound like a repeat to some. He put water in a glass vial, just water, no information, nothing in that water. Then he took another glass vial and he had the information of life, the human DNA, in the amino acidic form in that vial. And then he sent the Schumann resonant frequency into the vial with the information. And the other vial was placed next to it, getting hit in the same stream by that Schumann resonance. And out of nowhere, the amino acids of the Gattaca code form in that vial to prove that frequency produces life from other dimensions, actually other dimensional. And he did that experiment in his lab over and over and over to show that it is so. And it's proven, but he's still being attacked for that. So we have to open our minds to see there's much more going on. So the Rodin coil, you're running from a parasitic circuitry, which is Thomas Alva Edison electricity. You're running the Rodin coil. You will reach limits because it's not even close to the zero field. There, I have to also go by stories where I'm going by the pattern. So let me go really crazy and allow the craziness to take place and listen to the pattern. That Tesla had built a magnetic motor and it worked. And then they stole the idea and replicated the motor and it didn't work. Tesla built another one and it worked. And they tried to replicate it and it didn't work. Why is that? That has to do with the resonance of the inventor and the blessing that comes from what you're bringing in onto this planet, creating reality. Another story, there is a Christian group in the Swiss Alps that basically have an energy efficiency device that's based on Tesla's patent, has Tesla's blessings and allowance, and it works. It's a big wheel, and I don't even know if you find a video where they show it. I think they don't do that anymore, and I'll tell you the reason why. This wheel was spinning, producing electricity for the entire group living in the hills in Switzerland, and it's still running today. And they told the press, I don't know if it was early 80s or late 70s, that it is so. And well, the non-believers said, we don't believe that. We want to see. So I'm giving you an example to lead you to give you a bigger picture of what I'm doing. So these non-believers, came to witness this magnetic, is a big wheel with little magnets, and it's spinning, and it's a motor, and it produces electricity. So after a several amount of people have viewed that wheel, that didn't believe in that technology. Well, guess what happened to the wheel? It stopped spinning. And you knew this, I would say this, it stopped spinning. Now you have to understand, you are in your Merkabah system. You are also a standing wave. You are a wave column. You are a generator. And whatever you project in reality, to a certain degree, becomes reality. Well, if there's enough of it, it actually will manifest into realness. That's meaning if you project a scalar wave of a structure of you not believing in what is happening in front of you, and you have enough people, and this has been proven in quantum physics over and over, the observer effect, this will change according to your belief structure. Meaning 10 people can see a UFO and 500 non-believers behind them will not see nothing in the sky. Maybe a cloud, maybe a ripple, or maybe something where they're not sure, but they won't see it. It's like if you're not trained in a certain way and your brain frequency doesn't function a certain way, you have no perception. You can't see it. So now I'm looking at Tesla and I'm looking at Viktor Schauberger. Very important. If natural energy, as in standing scalar waves, and I'm talking about the uninterrupted scalar wave that comes from the pyramids as of today, the one in Bosnia, same in Gizeh, same thing. The ones in China, same thing, has been measured. I've seen the images online. It's an uninterrupted wave that is not produced by electricity. So when we talk death technology, it is limited if your technology requires regular electricity. It is different if you use solar power and you filter out the 60 hertz. In Germany, it's 50 hertz. You have to filter that out. People also that use solar powered cells in their household do not know that their conversion system produces, and correct me if I'm wrong in the gigahertz or megahertz, it's a 33, I think, megahertz standing wave, which is a destructive wave that comes from the conversion system from solar power to your electricity in your house, unprotected, and you're hitting your entire neighborhood with the garbage. Still, we need to learn how to harmonize electricity and give it a spin. Tesla worked with earth magneticity. I'm saying magneticity, not electricity. So that's why he could shoot from his Warden Cliff Tower electric waves, let's say a mile across the valley, and you put a light bulb in the grass. You all know the experiment, and the light bulb would glow, but it wouldn't hurt you. But how is it that AC/DC 110 in the US and 220 in Germany kills you like this? Because it's not in resonance with you. It's not in harmony. It doesn't have the natural spin. It's also linear energy. The problem also with EMF is the EMF in the 5G that we have doesn't have a spin. It's linear technology. There was a guy named Ibrahim Karim who works with biological insignias who changed that on a cell tower, demonstrated with a piece of metal and a symbolism that put a spin into that detrimental energy coming from the cell tower, which I think every cell tower should have on the planet, and people weren't getting sick anymore. It's all about having a spin. So another example, Viktor Schauberger observed riverbeds. As the river goes this way and it comes back into an S curve and back and forth, it has a spiral force that goes forward, and in the section where the curve hits, it kind of goes into an implosion and it goes backwards. That's why riverbeds had the ability to clear and clean themselves. And when we build canals, we destroy that. So everything that you make linear from that or add a 90-degree angle to it, life force dies. And I'm going by what the ancients basically are telling us, is that if we don't move in circles and in wave patterns, we are having problems. They said when we start to build square lodges, as in 4 corners and 90 degrees, we're killing the spirit that actually can come to your house. Back then, it was domes, elliptical and round shaped buildings, or rounded corners so the spirit can move. Simple experiment, you will see how the air doesn't move in a corner and how all the dust collects in the corner. It's dead energy. That's what we're living in. We have 60 hertz in our household. We're bombarding ourselves with EMF. And the best place where the EMF is the worst, and not many know this, is your refrigerator, because you have a generator at the base of your refrigerator sitting pumping 60 hertz in your food. The food is already processed because it comes from fertilized ground. So reaching mineral levels with supplements won't even get you close to, like what Dr. Jerry said, is we are living in, according to the law of one, we are living in a distortion. And as long as we're not changing the energetics of the distortion that's hitting us every day, you can pump minerals as you like. You can't hold them. How is the body holding that? And levels to avatar level and crossing dimensions. And I believe Jesus, Merlin, the Grand Masters of Viracocha, all of those people, Pakalvotan, were, I believe, partially extraterrestrial, also had the ability to hold that frequency, but they never left the environment where this was built. So I read folklore where there is an Eden type place where the gods live. Yeah, everything that's called God or godly, you can go back in, also in Hindu religion. Everything that's God, there's always a difference between a being that doesn't really age that fast and a being that's called immortal. In Akkadian tablets and as well as Sumerian tablets, there were names of kings found that ruled for thousands of years. So we have to really rethink the concept of, what's going on with us. I believe, from also studying the Bible, that we have been genetically altered. Some say the Anunnaki, some say Niburians. I think it's the same thing. They needed a slave race. That didn't happen not so long ago. So you have to ask yourself, why is it that in the Bible, when God speaks to the humans, he's very appalled about them building a tower with a Shem. Shem is a word for actually a ship. That we're about to go interstellar, and all of a sudden the towers break down and nobody understands anymore anything. That's where the word Babel comes from, or Babylonian. It's not speaking the right language. I believe we had a telepathic link. I believe we were psychic. I believe more magic was present on Earth. And here's the thing, that is what has caught my attention, and that's what I'm working with. Dr. Jerry said that it's electromagnetic and not biophotons. That's only a third of the equation. That's my findings. And I have proof. I have a video channel with over 2.5 million views. Like I can show what it does. So here's what I found. And I'm a self-taught scientist. I've been studying sciences since I was 11. No school could ever teach what I would look for, because I would look for the wackos, the crazy guys, and I would look for, is there evidence? Is there any proof that anything of this works? Or is it just woo-woo, So my ambition was always like, can I make this physical? Can I leave a physical impact? Can I make it real? Not using electricity. And I'm also calling free energy not free energy. I'm calling it energy efficiency. Side note, when I had a contact with an Arcturian, he said that the human race splits atoms, creating density, destroying macrocosmical suns and miniature universes. The word atom or atum or atomos means which cannot be divided. We have not learned our lesson yet. So this scientist explained to me, he said, when we understand the nuclear, and I'm not a scientist in that department where I know what that means, he said, there's a nuclear reservoir in the atom. And when we know how to resonate with that frequency, energy is infinite. But not only that, it creates consciousness. And that's what the elders, or what some people will call the master builders, actually did, is that a pyramid will make you smart. It will have you not violent. You would have not commandments, you'd have insights. You'll understand because your system will be modulated to a frequency that is conducive to. So our environment is sick. But guess why the coronavirus and everything, which I think also is like an attack on ourselves. We are sick because our environment is sick, and we have not built any building in the big cities that resembles anything natural or beautiful. And they looked at cancerous cells, they looked at computer chips and linear programming. Well, it looks like our big cities. Our big cities look like cancer cells. So interesting. I saw the pictures, microscope, and then the comparison to how we are building. We're offline. We're not building on ley lines. We're not building over aquifers. Luckily, Sedona, where I'm living, is placed over an aquifer, and the natural energy is depleted in big cities. LA doesn't have its own well water. Vegas doesn't have its own well water. Like, we're done. We have the Hoover Dam and all those artificial things in place. The Canyon River dies and dries out because of it. We're doing basically everything wrong to not support the ecological energy system that the planet represents. And Earth is its own orgone, rodent coil modulator, organic, photonic, magnetically aligned super system. And the ancients knew how to harness and energize their systems. I believe, to what I read in reading folklore, that the Magi masters, which I call them, texts, had stones that would glow if they would hold them in certain patterns. Or in Ireland, you have these runic symbols and these spirals chiseled in granite rock. And when we measure them, they all produce scalar waves, just a little bit weaker because Earth's magnetic field is a little bit weaker. So what I looked into is, what is that these holy places where people have miraculous healings, holy water fountains, like by the Jordan River is one where they sell actually worldwide holy water. Why is it highly ionized? Why are the Niagara Falls so healing? Why is Sedona in the canyon so healing? People go here for rehab and they heal from MS, they heal from many types of illnesses, and nobody can really explain what combines those places, including the island group of Hawaii. Why is it so rejuvenating? Well, and that's I don't know if Dr. Jerry is still on, but I wish he was. It is not based on the electromagnetic frequency by itself, because the scalar waves will not come. And I'll explain to you, which I'm writing a book right now. It's called Holodynamic Trinity. And so what I'm finding is, when you have all of those places combined, you find three things they have in common: magnetic anomalies, whether low or high, but just different than in the cities. Photons, call them biophotons, call them bions, whatever you want to call them, high amounts of photons, and in the billions, negative ions. So I'll say it again: negative ions, photons, and magnetic anomalies. When these things occur, scalar waves tend to be present. And then you can create something like a tachyon wave. And a tachyon wave is produced with a prayer that will have molecules swinging 180 left, 180 right, 360 right. And when you do this, that's actually what clouds do, and faster and faster and faster before it begins to rain. Science has proven it. So they checked the Hopi with their rain dance. Well, interesting that they dance exactly like the tachyon wave, which we have measured, we have seen that. You can Google it. There's been many experiments and experiences. I myself went to the Mesa. I witnessed a rain dance, and magically, it was clear sky. You're in the desert, way out in the Mesa, 4 hours into the desert, dry, no rain cloud inside. These dudes dance for 2.5 hours, and I shit you not, it begins to drizzle. Clouds are accumulating over the place, over the Mesa, and it begins to rain. They stop the dance. Roughly 3 hours later, it stops raining. If people find out that, I think there's information online, you can go there and they'll show you it can be done. It's not magic. This is science. And I'm calling what people say woo-woo or magic. It's just like superior and supreme science, that only for those who are open enough to receive that, to see that actually this is taking place. Not only it was raining, I also got like Like my hair was standing up, like the air got electric. So I realized the solution into rejuvenating your body is not pumping it with minerals that you can't store anyway on that level, because you're not that avatar yet. And unless I see it, I don't believe it, you know? So how can we have an effect that basically kicks ass? So I looked at the Russians and many different experiments and studies among Dr. Kozriev. I don't remember all names because I have to concentrate on the pattern that I see. That's why I can't source that all right now, and that will actually defeat the purpose of me explaining to you what I'm actually trying to say. Is the Russians have found out, when does the human body begin to heal? Before any supplement, before any intake, before any mechanical or biomechanical intrusion or invasion or whatever hospitals do, is when light, and that's, I'm just quoting what I read, 10 to the 15th is the magnitude of the light potency of the sun that need to be captured and infused in a storage medium, a quartz crystal, preferably a clear one, because you have a better storage medium if you have a clear crystal. Science has found out that, what's it called? Pyrex, borosilicate granulate, is the best storage capacity for photons. How do you do that? You invent a device that has a means of capturing photons. You put that device in a vacuum. You direct that device at your crystal substance, which is your storage medium, and then you observe the isotopes in that crystal that store the photons. So the Russians studied how long do these crystals even store those photons. And they found out with computer simulations and different algorithms of nature that these crystals emanate that so-called healing frequency, which can be measured, is called biophotonic emission, up to 15,000 years. Now I call that energy efficient, but that doesn't, get the motor going. We want to know, when does the human body heal? Well, 10 to the potency of the 15th is when the RNA begin to go into self-repair mode without any substance. So I remember that. And I'm like, okay, if that is healing, what's the application? You have an experiment that is just laying there. They had human cells. Okay, why not, put a human body in that field? Then I read what they do in Germany for healing people that have asthma. They put them in salt mines. Then I'm like, okay, a salt mine must have a biophotonic high emission rate, negative ions, and probably magnetic anomalies. Side note, the acacian tree that in Africa needs 90 years to reach its full height needs only 20 years in Hawaii. Why is that? Because of that. Magnetic anomalies, lots of photons, and an accumulation of negative ions. When I spoke to Dr. Sam Osmaganish from Bosnia, he has the same experience in his pyramids and the tunnel systems where they're digging out stuff, magnetic anomalies, negative ions like crazy, and photons like crazy. And people get better, like blood sugar levels regulating, the alkaline and acidity in the body is regulating. And I'm like, okay, not everybody can chill in a pyramid of that size or go to these places. It's expensive to travel around the globe. If you go from America, it's probably a $2,000 plane ticket. So I'm like, how do we make this a compact system, a portable system that you can put in your home? And this is basically the crescendo year for me, where all of those people find me. I also had an interview with the Nanoscientific Journal that is online, reaching over 200,000 people. And basically, I built a box where I took Wilhelm Reich's orgone, because Wilhelm Reich healed cancer, but when the treatment stopped, the cancer came back. Was like, you're not hitting the Trinity. If you just go on electromagnetically, you're just in the electromagnetic spectrum. You need the photons and you need the negative ions. You need those three in order to have this scalar wave, but no electricity. So We had tested with friends in Bavaria a photonic bed where we took a tanning booth and we put the storage medium as photonic substance in the bed and reflectors up top. And we had a guy that unfortunately he doesn't want to be in front of camera, and we can't make any claims, but I explained to you what happened, and you just have to just trust in the resonance of what I'm telling you. The guy had a tumor, half the size of a golf ball, frontal lobe, inoperable. So we put that dude on the bed thinking, okay, let's like naive. I'm like, I'm no Yale, no Harvard. I'm like thinking, if I can reflect the cell back to a zero field, I must be able to engage a memory that the cell remembers what it means to be perfect. Like your higher self is the perfect version of yourself. It's basically the God version of you. So basically reflecting a sick body, reflecting that to a healthy body, and let the cells reflect back. The Russians have tested that with mirrors. A sick patient and a healthy patient in a mirrored room. And basically, the healthy patient lost a little bit of health, and the sick patient would heal. And to a certain degree, it would balance out, and they would actually get clear. And we're not talking putting extra photons in there, just a room mirrored in its entirety, meaning it mirrored to infinity. And you know what happens, what still nobody can explain? Two mirrors in front of one another reflect till infinity. Well, they reached that zero field where everything is actually perfect. And there's no more concept of everything or anything. So we put that guy.
Is that what you call the phase conjugation?
Yes, in part, but basically phase conjugation into in infinity, meaning when the phase interlocks and emits it actually like the word Pesca Pisces, Visca Pisces. You know what I mean? When the two circles mean, and you have this almond eye in the center, and you have something like a phase conjugation is when two phases interlock plus and minus, and they actually balanced out. You have a phase conjugation. Not only that, when you bring in magnets, when you bring in photons, when you bring in negative ions, we're talking about solar fractal capacitance, but also magnetic fractal capacitance and ionic fractal capacitance. So that's why I call my device actually scalar fractal capacitor. So after 6.5 weeks and a moderate diet, that tumor disappeared, and that guy is clear today. So that explains to me it works.
Rene,
that was
you're
just
talking about the Atlantean midbit that you made.
Yeah,
right?
basically the Atlantean med bed is the version of the bed that we had built 15 years ago, where I was thinking, okay, if the orgone accumulator only goes this far, Rife technology goes this far, Tesla is over here, Faraday is over here, let's go Tesla, Faraday, Wilhelm Reich, Kozyrev, and see what happens. So basically I put ferrite magnets. Never use nickel-based neodymium magnets. That field is crap. Black ferrite earth magnets, like bricks, in the base of the bed. That's called earth magnetism. It's a lot of information, but I explained to you why I'm using magnets. In Munich, at the University of Biological Science, they assumed that life was different when the magnetic field was higher. It's just the magnetic field. So everybody knows, use your Gauss app on your iPhone and you'll see the magnetic level on Earth is 0.4. It's weak as shit, pardon my French. It collapsed, it's crap. So what they did in Munich was they had fish from riverbeds breeding in a higher magnetic field. Basically, like, let's say 20,000 Gauss, all the way up. And the fish that came out looked like primordial fish. They were 4 times the size of the regular fish. They're stronger, a different level of intelligence, DNA slightly different, like a completely different species appeared, just because of the magnetic field was changed. David Wilcock explained how the Russians did that with laser. Basically, they had frog eggs and they put salamander DNA in front of a laser. They went into the frequency of the sun and they blasted the eggs and they had frog lamanders. A mixture of DNA occurred because you can influence that with light, you can influence that with magnets. But I'm allowing myself is saying this experiment is over here and the other experiment is over there. Let's combine the three. So I have magnets in the base, then I have a photonic substance, as in a borosilicate glass that is charged with photons, with a means of charging and infusing the photons into the substrate, and then orgone energy, as in sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, steel wool, sheep's wool, and then a galvanized plate at the finish. Wilhelm Reich used a 7-dimensional layer. I'm using a 9-dimensional layer because I want more energy. And I want even people that are skeptical, like non-believers, to lay on the bed, have their hair standing up, and they're making an experience of feeling, because that's where consciousness is most likely open. So I built a holodynamic medbed where I have magnets, photons, and orgone energy combined. I also call it a forgonite system, where it's photonically activated organ energy that actually has an Arcturian alignment of magnets under you. That's why grounding heals people. Anybody haven't watched the movie Grounding? A guy sleeps, has back pain and all types of illnesses, and he decides a test. For 2 weeks, he sleeps under his house on the rock, and he gets better. He begins to heal. Everything begins to recalibrate. And that has to do with the scalar waves that are present in the ether, in the ionosphere, what's reflected, what are we being bombarded with, what are we under. So here is what I have experienced. And I have the videos, all my proof is uploaded. So I built a little ascension chamber and cooked rice, and put the regular cooked rice with regular tap water in the chamber and let it sit for a year. And it doesn't rot. There's no decay. I did that with cheese. That just dries up. It doesn't rot. It mummifies. I did it with meat. It mummifies. So the same effect that a giant pyramid is causing, and I think if the name is correct, Dr. Bovis, who measured life force in the center, of the pyramid. He put meat in there, he put parasites in there, and realized parasites die or scram, basically maggots crawling out the meat. And meat mummifies, fruits dry up and mummify, but you can still eat them. So I had eaten camembert cheese that was a year old just by taking the mummified version and putting it in a glass of water, let it soak the water back in, and you eat the cheese, pristine. You're stopping that what causes negentropy, the decay through time. We can do that with batteries and many, many other substances. So now I built this module where basically this thing changes your neighborhood. It doesn't require electricity. It runs forever. It's silent. It's solid state logic. Like there's no moving parts. I just put energy pieces together to give that thing a kick. I haven't even listed it. It's already selling like crazy. I can't even keep up. People have an experience where it's even blasting me, where it goes beyond what I had expected. There was a guy in Florida who had his backyard, the grass kind of, half dry, tough summer. He put the box in his house. He says the grass is 3 times higher. It's green. Butterflies are like accumulating. Everything comes to the yard. Animals and birds are accumulating. And he feels much, much better. And he had tested devices that run on electricity. And he says, what I have, it renders a lot of stuff like obsolete when you test it in your own homes. So what I'm testing it with is you can put essential oils on it. The aroma goes, I don't know how many fold. It's just much higher, everything much higher for kicks, because I wanted to have a laugh. But here's what happened. I put it under a car because I was thinking, if I'm changing, now listen carefully, the hydrolysis, which is how the liquid flows through a mechanical device, and atomically structure the carbon molecule, can I make an engine run efficient? And in my mind, my intuition says yes. Usually I'm like 98% right when I'm imagining these things. I don't know why I know those things. And then I test it. So I put my nano substance in a steel container, a little bit bigger than a lipstick, and clipped it to my fuel line and let it sit overnight just to give it time so, the fuel can adjust. Just had an oil change done, so I know the oil is bright enough to respond to photons. So Lord and behold, here's what happened. My car used to be a 19 mile per gallon Ford Explorer 2005. Now it's a 27 mile per gallon car. I have changed atomically the structure, the way the fuel runs through my car. My motor used to rattle, didn't have any mistakes. It's just a little older. Now it purrs like a kitten. Everything harmonizes. And usually every 3,000 miles, I'm changing my oil, and the mechanic looks at me and says, man, it's like you have not used your oil. I'm like, yes, I did diesel. Well, it's not black. That's actually impossible. Well, I know now it's possible. And I did my own testing. Now I have people financing me so we can put this thing on a dyno and put it on paper for the non-believers that they see I have scientific backing. I already have scientific backing for the phone chips that I produce. Let me see if I can find something in form of a silica. Like I put it on these cards here. And this is a substance of nanoparticles laminated on aluminum foil. So this can reflect. You see how this is reflective? So this can reflect back out. And what we have tested, and also, I allow no theories about the flower of life being the flower of doom, because in the laboratory we have tested that seeds grow, energy is harmonized, life force is being reintroduced, and crystals form in the water, and things last longer. And we're not even talking photons, ions, or magnetics. So there's something to that ancient form. So what I did with that sticker, this was sent to the Biological Institute of Cell Resonance. So what they did with that sticker, they put it in a petri dish with human cells, and I have noticed, and my video's up, if you go to my channel, Arcturus Ra on YouTube, I show the certificate that's notarized and signed by the company. I have it in German and in English to make sure. They certify that I'm activating the fibroblasts, which are the routers of your cell, the connective cell tissue of your body, by 21%, that enables them to have in a phase 4. We have solids, liquids, and gas, and there is plasma or structured water. That is the coronal field around the cell is the phase 4 water, which gets destroyed when EMF hits it because the cell doesn't have enough metabolism to defend itself. Now, we found out with the help of other scientists and friends in the field in Bavaria that I communicate with, to just reference that when the metabolism of the fibroblast is enhanced by 21%, your cell phone is less damaging to you holding it. And I have the certificate, and I'm selling basically phone chips and cards for your wallet so your body stays in bioresonance. And that's without magnets. That is just the photons. Bioresonance, simple explanation. I am half German. I speak German perfect. And my German grandma would put the potatoes, the tomatoes, the cherries, and fruits, and what else? Strawberries in the root cellar, not in the fridge. That's farmer's knowledge. And I was like, Grandma, why are you not putting that in the fridge? It's like, it rots in the fridge. It goes bad. So now you have to ask yourself the question, why is it that a potato in a root cellar in the soil, I'm not talking limestone built, a root cellar where a dugout hole and you're in contact with the soil, lasts 9 months. Apples, 7 months. Strawberries, if you have them raw, a couple of weeks. If you put them in a glass, several months, but not in your kitchen, because they're out of bioresonance. And the bioresonance is the original scalar wave energy that is only established when magnetic alignment is undisturbed, when the negative ions can flow undisturbed, and then the photons flow uninterrupted and uninfluenced. That's when it lasts longer. So I came up with the idea basically to work in the field of bioresonance, which I've been doing for the last 10 years. I have a very successful online store where you see all my statistics. My average is 5-star rating. I think out of 4,000 items, I had one return just because the person didn't like the look. But everything else, I have no complaints. People feel the resonance. And this is not magic, it is science. So what I'm doing is, and let me find this piece here because I'm in my lab. It's like the madhouse here. This is what I produce. This is the jet. The jet is the symbolism of raising the consciousness in the human body. It's an ancient Egyptian teaching. And the jet always appeared to me in dreams and in visions. I had a book from a German scientist. I think it's called Licht, and it's about colors and color spectrums. And this guy had basically scanned hieroglyphs under a biophotonic camera. And the photons seem to be attracted to the symbol. So meaning if you use a pen and you draw the symbol on a piece of paper, you're drawing in photons. So this is a light directive that I'm using. And through channelings and studying Fred Bell and other books, I realized, here's my conclusion. And let's say this is a hypothesis. Vitamins direct light. Minerals store light. Enzymes balance light. And cells produce light. And if you have your light factory in order, then we can talk skills like Buddha or Jesus, miracles, butterflies landing on you, dogs. Everything that is life force being attracted to you is when you embody the full capacitance of light communication of your cells. That's why what I'm dealing with, I call it intrascalar, because we're dealing with intracellular communication. So if you take out the photons out of the equation, how the RNA communicates, you're in trouble. So basically the magnetic array is part of the phone line, but it's not the pole that supports the cable. So actually the carrier frequency can run through that cable. You need all three for that standing wave to occur. Otherwise you have nothing. And also, if you use one part of the equation, you're slower in the healing process. I believe what Dr. Keshe believes, even though he's an auspicious character, we can regrow limbs when the Ka, that's the Egyptian body for the plasma body, when that is 100%, if not 150% aligned, is aligned, you can go into miraculous and instant healing. But with healing modalities, you got to be careful. Like I can build an ascension chamber, like Dr. Kozriev built one out of metal. And after 5 minutes, people ran out of that thing because they heard voices, they saw spirits, they can't handle it. You can't handle when your psychic capacity kicks in and you're overwhelmed with all of the senses. Imagine you have an iPhone, the iPhone is your body, you have 5 apps. All of a sudden, you're opening 360 apps of senses. You're overwhelmed. You have no psychic training. You're not a shaman. You don't even know how this works. So now we have to lean on that field to bring that energy back. And another experience that I had is that Travis Walton, the abduction case of Travis Walton, was not so much that I was interested in, how long was he gone? What beings did he talk to? It's like, what was the imprint? And this is very important. And hear me out. I am not interested in crafts that leave burned fields and stuff doesn't grow and it's detrimental and people have a horrific experience. I do not trust those vehicles. My intuition tells me focus on those that are translucent, that are interdimensional, that have miraculous healings. People had wonderful visions and occurrences. I spoke to one guy who's mentioned in the book of that group CERN, which is the study book of the world. It's like, I don't know, 1,000 pages thick of abduction cases, who had a lump in his chest. His dog was about to die. The being came, crashed over the house. The lump disappeared in the chest. Doctors don't know what happened. The dog is like 20 years younger, running around, and miraculous healing. So in the case of Travis Walton was this: the biological life forms in the circumference of where the craft touched ground somewhere in Arizona, 3 hours from here, from where I live. The trees grew exponentially. The grass grew exponentially. A life force and biological life force in soil samples showed a change as an enhancement within the DNA of any life form they could find there by 37%. Now that had me thinking, if these ships, as in further developed humans, not so alien, so green, and all of this craziness, we got to get out of these conspiratory stuff and look at the evidence. 40 years later, Travis Walton goes back there, and the video is on YouTube. It's hard to find. And he shows the tree and the rings of the tree after the craft had landed in that year, and you see an exponential growth rate in that tree. Also, what happened to that place? Negative ions like crazy, photons, it's not even funny, and a magnetic field that came from the craft. So, of course, it leaves the interdimensional residue of having influenced the planet. That's why I also understand there are galactic committees. You've seen that. Anybody watch Star Trek? If these anthropological researchers are seen, they call that a contamination of a culture. We do it in the Amazon. From a cosmic sense, we're doing the same thing from the future. You're observing a culture. You don't want to contaminate the culture, because if they see your technology, you become their new religion, which I call cargo cult. And this planet is decked in that. All our religion and all the magic is based on what we observed and as in technology that we didn't understand. So that UFO experience with that person gave me that conclusion. I got a download, as in like I received something, and then in the morning I write it out, and I realized what I received kind of confirms that. I had an encounter in Mount Shasta, on Mount Shasta, with 9 other people, where craft came from the sky. It was translucent. You could look through it. It controlled basically the dimension that we were in. Like you would think like you're in a in a computer game, when people or kids play these games, you see the grass moving. You see how the grass moves to a line because it's a crappy algorithm, because they don't quite have it down. Well, that's what we saw when that craft stopped over our heads, 30 feet hovering, and trees and grass would move like this is a freaking hologram, and they have absolute control over everything right now that we're standing in. And all our senses, they can modulate time, they can weave time, they can screen you, they can take you out of time, place you back in time. Like everything was transmitted, that they have the capacity that we can't even begin to imagine to what's the capacity of our galactic ancestors. And that's why I agree with Dr. Jerry. We will go interstellar again, because that's in our DNA, that's in our coding, that is in our natural programming. And to wrap this up, because I can go on for 7 days and don't stop, my mission is to activate consciousness, to reload consciousness, to help people remember, whether it's past lives or cosmic lives or whatever it is, from an energetic spectrum on, to also side effect rejuvenation. But like when Jerry says, what do you want? You want rejuvenation, or what do you want? My choice is I want awareness, consciousness, cosmic recall. We are right now in a phase of, you can say, cryptic amnesia, as in galactic amnesia, since the fall of consciousness. With the COVID going on, I believe also there's a cryptic cleansing going on. Like I think that we're kind of being hit right now. This is bigger than COVID and 5G. And we really need to rethink what's happening and be open to the new things that we're finding. They're teaching blind kids to see again. There are schools worldwide. Watch the movie Superhuman by Carolyn Corey, that she shows blindfolded kids that can read books, detect colors, and see auras. Like it's called extraocular vision. So it's not magic anymore to train a third eye. There's a part in our brain called the midbrain that's dormant. Once that's activated, and science has shown it, you can basically have band-aids over your eyes. You can be double blindfolded, and you can really develop the ability to see as an energetically through your cell spectrum, because your body can do that. So we're beginning to bring it back. We're beginning to activate that. And so basically with my technology, I'll make also pendants. I'll want to give people the feeling what it means to be in bioresonance. Simple test without my pendants would be, let's say you're living in a city, you're stressed out. Let's say, best example, you're living on Times Square. So you take that person out of that environment. I put you in the woods and let you sit for 2 hours and come back. Your IQ is up by 8. Your blood pressure is down. Blood sugar regulates. You're de-stressed, and you're kind of coming back to your senses. But not everybody can, live in a beach house in Hawaii or move into the pyramid chamber. So I make mobile devices affordable, if you want on a smaller scale, that you can carry with you and see how your heart can get in resonance. Also, I believe that the heart is not a pump, that the heart is actually a vorticular device that spins your blood in a positive and negative direction and zeroes out the field, so you actually are alive. And your vascular system, your entire cell structure, is the pump. They tested that in modules, like human-like, where a heart couldn't even pump what's pumping through us. So it's actually a generator that works with what circulates through us in a circular motion. And all I'm invested in is basically in the spin of nature, zero fielding the original energy, and finding out that you need less mechanical stuff, as in minerals or metals or anything that you want to do. That's still a mechanical invasion. Like, it's basically my car, my tank is leaking, so let's put more fuel in it. That doesn't change the leak. Same with the deuterium material. Like, these levels will not hold because you're still living in a distortion field. And only as far as the machine, I don't know, the Rasha machine or my module, only as far as that thing reaches, it'll hold to a degree. And the minute you leave that, you're back into the distortion, you're running into the same problem. So we need to build, like many books predicted, that cities of high energetic value, aka cities of light, that are mineral based to a degree that you have a conducive energy around you, and your aging will be different. And your aging was determined also by that God that you read in the Bible, because it was the God in heaven said that, for henceforth, let humans only be 150 years from now on. So if somebody from the sky, which I think was Enlil, not God, but that's another story, declares that you will only age 150 years as punishment, that must suggest that we were probably older, like Abraham and whatnot, where you could be 300 years, 400 years and whatnot. And that was changed. That was genetically altered. So your genes have a way of finding their way home. I believe that because in the Sumerian tablet, it says that Enki, the good one, the opposer of Enlil, and Ninhursag, as in genetic master designers, put gene codes in us that we have awakening codes. I call it the SAS code, self-aligning software. And when the light is corrected, the fractal waves are corrected, the energies around you, the way they're supposed to be by divine source, you come back to your original nature, and your journey home can begin. And I truly believe that, comparing folklore, tablets, and science with where the pattern lies. And this is only the beginning. So I think this is 1% of what I'm giving you. And now I'm open to questions.
Thank you so much, Rene. There has been a lot of questions in the chat room. So I think I will pass the microphone over to the co-chair. Who would like to take over, James or Press? Either one of you.
James, you want to read the
question? Yes, there's the co-chairing. Yes, thank you.
Okay, so first question. Yeah, I was wondering, Rene, are you familiar with the earthing pad? And could we put, I suppose we could put one of those in the refrigerator, either out of orgone or purple plates. What are your thoughts about it?
Yes, they're good. Could be stronger, all of them. So test it. That's how I do it. Put meat in your meat section. Put the purple plate in and see how long it lasts. That's how I do it. That's how I know. Okay, well, 2 weeks and it's beginning to smell and turn green. Okay, not good. So what I want to see is it to mummify and no smell. So it's an idea, but it's not strong enough. You know, I also asked Nassim Harriman with his arc pendant. I said, "Can you clip that thing to your fuel line? Are you saving fuel?" And he said, "No." I said, "Well, nice try, but not strong enough." It's like, I want to see you show it to me, you know, then I can tell you this has impact. So that's my answer.
Yeah.
Rene, is it possible for you to share with us the video that you made, the time lapse of how you made your Atlantean ascension bed? That would be so interesting. I can't find it. I search everywhere in your YouTube channel, everywhere.
Well, go to my channel and then click it in my channel section. That's one of the latest. It's called Holographic Medbed. You can't miss it.
Well, can you share?
I think I'm the only one in the world that dared to build a thing and put it up and say, yeah, I have it in 3D. While everybody theorizes and I see these sci-fi pictures and images and ideas and blah, I put my money up without investors and I build it.
Oh,
it's in physical form.
Is it possible for you to search that and share on share screen, Pontus? Arcturus Ra YouTube channel. Arcturus Ra YouTube channel.
I mean, I would suggest for the people in the group to watch that when they have time, because it's a long video. Also in the time lapse, I'm showing you what I'm putting into the thing. So you actually see how I'm putting the orgone plates in, the magnets, how I'm setting everything. All of this is felt like I'm getting inputs, then I see things, and then I make a plan. You know, like an architect, like I receive an information and then I, like a master builder, then I put it together. So
have you got a lot of amazing benefits or testimonials of people who benefited from you?
Well, the bed was just finished this year. Mm-hmm. I had an older person, you can say, that was skeptical, and I said, well, come by a couple of days. I don't want to do it at my home because I have a lot of people who want to come, and I don't want to do it at my private place. So but that'll change in a minute. So anyway, he's tested that and he feels a change, and it's subtle. Like he gets up out of bed, he's not that sluggish anymore. He feels a little bit more rebooted. And if you do that long enough, you know, your cells can actually repair themselves without supplements, you know. And I'm also working on making that bed even stronger, because I want people that are like very dense, that, you know, that they need weeks before they feel anything to have an impact. I mean, I want to go over the threshold of people not feeling, you know. Most people do, though. Luckily, the people that I've tested, they get goosebumps, their hair standing up. When you can hold your hand into the field of the bed, it's a pretty intense. Yeah. While I'm stuttering, I'm still.
Are you thinking of making a lot fit and selling it?
I have to basically build it from scratch, because it's too hard to find defective tanning beds and then refurbish them, because not everybody gets rid of their tanning booth. It's really, it's a beast to get that stuff. So I probably have to build that from scratch, and it's not going to be cheap because I got to put a lot of material in there. And the expensive part is there are nanomaterials that I need a lab to produce. And when you need pounds of that stuff, it'll cost you, because it's not a commercial substance that you can just order. So these beds will probably be around $25,000, you know, but it's a lifetime therapy that you're buying, you know. You don't have to do anything with that. It doesn't need electricity. That thing runs. There's no maintenance necessary. No cleansing or clearing. That thing runs like a pyramid, you know.
So where's the melon cut?
Isn't it? It's inside.
Why'd you make it cold?
Because it was hot.
Right, we're gonna mute AJ. Right. Okay. Is James? Is there another question? The next one.
Yeah. AJ.
Yeah.
You're gonna mute yourself, AJ. Sorry.
Muting him.
Okay.
I can't mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, but did you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question to ask him if he can, tell me his website so I can take a look.
Okay, it's ra-key.com.
It's in the chat. Yeah.
Okay.
And it also looks like you have an Etsy store.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at that. So that's a lot. I remember you from at least 10 years ago during the time of Team Light, and
Ah,
it doesn't look like you've aged at all.
I'm trying not to age to prove
So
my point.
what do you think is the most instrumental part of or whatever you're doing that we could do, or what should we get from maybe your Etsy shop? Because I don't have $25,000 for a med bed.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I have doctors contacting me, so I think it's these things are for like bigger institutions and people with bigger investment that want to, investigate and do their own studies. What I have for the individual is a pendant.
$5,000 bed, right?
Come again?
$5,000 bed.
Or I'm thinking of what somebody suggested, maybe build like a $6,000 plate that you can put under the bed. Make it strong enough that you just do your own therapy by just placing it under your regular bed. That's an idea. So I'm still inventing there. I'm still creating.
Well, what if we were to just get some of those earth, what did you say, the ferrite magnets, and just put it underneath our mattress? Would that be special?
Yeah, I mean, that will do something. But you have to know what you're doing. You need a unifield, meaning that you have to be attracting the south pole on a compass, meaning the north pole of the magnet has to be up. So everything has to be north up. Don't mix it. A lot of companies mix that left and right. People get sick because they don't know what to do with magnetic fields. Magnetic fields are even. They are unifield, like the Earth. You don't polarize that. So have the north pole up, and you need to buy bricks, and that stuff is heavy.
I'm sorry, I couldn't find your medbed YouTube. Can somebody help, please? Arcturus
Okay,
Ra
it's very
YouTube.
simple. Go to Arcturus Ra, go to my channel, and then click on videos. And then you click on the thumbnail that says holographic medbed.
Okay,
You
can
can't miss that.
just do that, please? Because my computer's not allowing me to do that.
Okay,
No,
so
I have the same problem.
Okay.
Rene, can we have a
Yeah.
chat real quick, please?
Yeah.
Mike Emery here. The
Yeah.
thing I'm really interested in is different types of capacitance that you mentioned.
Yes,
Could you say those again, please?
it's a scalar fractal capacitor.
Yeah, scalar fractal capacitor, I understand that. But didn't you mention two different kinds of capacitance, ionic and magnetic or something?
Well, basically, what I'm combining in my scalar fractal capacitor is ionic, photonic, and magnetic.
Okay.
So these three are important. Otherwise, you cannot create that wave. It'll be like, yeah, you see here what's being displayed in Germany.
Yeah.
I had a company develop futuristic
just
beds.
want standing waves, and
Yeah.
basically impose an image.
Come again? I cannot really hear you.
Rats.
Okay, so the beds that you saw there was
I'm
a
Arcturus
test.
Ra, and welcome to my phenomenal YouTube channel.
What is going on here? Everything is everything right now.
Oh, I haven't been talked to my bubble genies in a while, and I had to actually instruct them to calm down the capacitance field that I'm in, so that they would. And the bubble genies we have, you maybe not familiar with bubble tech, based on capacitance. It's Wilhelm Reich's tech on steroids.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that we're doing image management is basically telepathically, a number of us installing the images with our bubbles, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And we've made it rain and put out all the fires in Australia, the Amazon, Congo, Siberia, stopped innumerable hurricanes, on and on and on. It's ridiculous. And the weather thing is pretty straightforward. You were talking about it, where the water has a zone around it. Calls the EZ zone. It's a capacitance.
Yeah, it's the fourth state. We're realizing that now,
right.
that it's actually fact.
It's the capacitance field around it.
Yes.
And so that's why water talks to water.
Yeah.
you know, all over the planet.
Well, that's why, you know, when people meet extraterrestrials, they're on their knees or they faint because they are superstructured beings. They also
Yeah, well,
they also have water. They're so resonant that even the military people lose their minds because of the purity of what's in front of them. They can't handle it.
Right.
Wow.
Renee, I just want to introduce quickly. Mike Emery is well, one of the two or three inventors of the bubble tag, the organic bubble tag, which is miraculous because it's through intentions. It's allowing people to have healing and abundance and all that. So I saw one of your videos. You made some organized structures. You call it the mothership, the second one, and there's an earlier spaceship that you made from well, organs or organized.
Basically, my substances, I had that now trademarked, is called Forgone.
Organs,
because I'm using not what the regular orgone makers use. First of all, I study Wilhelm Reich as in the original orgone energy and how is that in a resin. So you see a lot of stuff out there that's being produced, sorry to say, it's paperweight. It looks pretty, but that's not orgone energy. You cannot just mix any crystal in resin and put some colors into it and call it orgone. That is garbage. I'll tell you why. And many Wilhelm Reich fans know this. Wilhelm Reich clearly explains orgone energy has to do with layers and insulation as an electric or dielectric or conductive, non-conductive. You have to have those layers in order to create an accumulative process. So you want to do that with resin. You need, in order to move energy, you need metal and you need crystals and you need plastic and you need that isolated from another. That creates somewhat of a bubble. I added my photonic substance and the stuff goes up like 200 folds. Like you have a completely different energy spectrum when you have forgonite, which is also what I'm selling to organiters. So they do their own measurements, how much life force is being generated. So what I'm doing is basically the nanoparticles that I mix with, let's say, atomized stainless steel are attracted to the steel and shoot out the device. Wow. So I accelerate that. Just by themselves, they're dormant. Also, when you go nano, you have more light capacitance, as in refractive and reflective, because you have more surface coverage. And I got that from the Russians. They said you go smaller, the smaller you go with particles, the more surface coverage you have, bringing the light back. Simple explanation, that's why traffic signs reflect so wonderful. They make crushed crystals and laminate them. That's why you see your traffic signs at night. And they need to have a high reflective capacitance for it to work. Well, I look at it and I learn from it and I use it. Very simple.
I think you have a lot to chat with Mike about, because I think together you'll be able to enhance his bubble tech.
The bubble tech sounds very, very interesting.
Yeah, Renee, I'm sorry. Your bed, we can get it down to 2 hours.
You know
and
what?
you go back to your 20-year-old blueprint, total image management, whatever you want. After you acquire your 20-year-old blueprint, then you start levitating and doing all that stuff because of what you experienced already.
This is what we did.
And there's different levels of this what I'm talking about already happening. The energy enhancement system of Sandrose Michaels is all over the world and does amazing stuff like restart organs, in vivo, what the Russians are doing too. There's a lot of people doing this stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're all facets to the whole thing. Like I had people coming out of comas because of my tech, but I'm not claiming that online because I don't want to hear anything from the pharma or anything. So I had a guy who
we did the same thing here just recently.
Yeah, guy was unresponsive in a coma. I said, send me his picture. So I took the picture. And it's not made radionics. It's photonic, non-local instant transmission of information. So I took that guy from the hospital bed, and that's the photonic address. Yeah. And I took his image and put it on my photonic device. The guy calls me from Amsterdam and says, yo, dude, my dad woke up.
Wow. Yeah.
So you can get a response.
Yeah,
That works.
right. It would have been almost instant.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So and that's what's very important is the
Okay.
photons are informational carriers. See, magnetics are not just the information. Magnetics are like kind of the platform or the storage bin or the stabilizer of the field.
Right.
But the information is in the photon. And when you miss that, you miss a whole lot. That's why I'm saying my stuff needs the magnetics, it needs the photons, and it needs the negative ions.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have something
Well, the
of
photons.
trianon system, and that works.
So this
The
is
photons.
this is what we do. Our role in physics is to bring all of you together so you can put two heads better than one kind of situation here, you know. So
Mhm.
you have your own discoveries, Mike, and so has Rene, and so has Dr. Jerry. And
Yeah.
it's so good to put all your heads together. My God, it's going to like bombard the whole planet with the technologies that is so much needed.
Yeah, well, I can expand the field of the, what do you call it, bubble fairies,
Mhm.
Yeah.
which I find very interesting. I also want to investigate that further because I'll buy equipment if I can afford it and run it and see what does it do to me.
You've already got everything you need.
You know?
Rene, you and I
Huh?
can build
To
one
show you.
at the same time. I've got all my ingredients ready to start, and with Mike's supervision as well. So we
Yeah,
can,
talking about here's the funny thing, you know, let me shake people's noodles even more. If the energy is high enough, you'll have other beings running through your house.
Yeah.
They'll come. If the life force is high
Well,
enough, you have an elf sitting on your bedpost.
What we are getting, what we've arrived at, you know, because of the obvious ability of our intentions to control matter.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, innumerable healings almost every day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Okay. You know that time and space don't exist for us.
Yeah. You can
Okay,
shift
so then
at a
what's going
certain
on?
level. Dan Winters found
It's a
that
movie.
out. Yeah,
It's
you
a
can
movie.
change dimensions.
It's a hive
You can
mind
change-
movie. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
And the hive mind movie, I'm sorry, controls every thought in our head, which is connected to every grain of sand on the beach.
Yep.
That's the extent of the movie. I can even show you how the movie was created, you know, in vignettes. You know, it's just dream after dream after dream. And we, as our pure consciousnesses, our observer selves, did it.
Yeah.
We made the first movie. Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we keep adding to it, and the fucking thing keeps replaying like a jukebox connected to a holodeck.
Yeah. And at some point, we forgot that we can change the damn thing. We forgot. We
Correct.
kept playing.
Yeah.
Kept playing.
Well. Now the deal is humans are. The deal is consciousness is painfully bored, as is obvious. That's where suffering comes from. You know?
Hey, Rene, you're working with Dan Winter as well?
Yeah, well, he kind of like indirectly gave the name to my device. He said, he says that I'm even more that I'm dealing with solar scalar fractal capacitance. He says that's what I'm doing.
Cool.
So
Anyway.
that's I was like, okay, so I will name my module scalar fractal capacitance, which encompasses all three systems. Which at some point I have to do a write up and a book to actually explain, okay, this is, you know, how this works. Yeah, you see the video here where I'm showing the time-lapse construction of what I'm actually doing.
I thought, since you talk so much about it, it's nothing like the show.
Wires and everything, and you just take the shell.
I'm explaining, like, I suggest if you're interested, you know, listen to what I'm explaining.
Like night,
and
the energy of a
watch
pyramid
what
chamber,
I do.
it would need.
Yeah.
So with that surrounding mass
I'm sorry,
of
I
sunlight.
just wanted to show the picture of your mid-bed.
You got to go
Where
either
is it?
middle or end somewhere.
Okay.
There it is.
Got it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I took a tanning booth. I
my
took all the
computer
electric
is
compartments out and put my shooters in that system.
That will be
You
got
know.
Now
some
applaud me,
balls there
Renee.
as well,
Cause we
Thanks.
have mirror. I want to move that bed in.
Oh, mine's finished.
Yeah, I did it because I kept reading and reading. I'm like, everybody talks about this theoretical construct. Why not make that freaking thing real? So, you know, if I still say if anybody has a freaking Tesla motor that runs, and if it runs for 400 years, I'll buy it. You know, we got to get out of this theoretical potential shit.
That's why I want
and
somebody
make
else.
it happen. Build it and then turn it on and see what happens.
What do you
know,
what do you
that's what
feel when you
Or
lay in it?
fast.
What have you noticed when you sleep in it?
That's why I want
after
somebody
8
else
minutes,
to
the
show this.
parasympathetic
James
nervous
can
system
show
is
it.
switched
My
on and I
computer
fall
is very
asleep.
bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
Would you
yeah.
stop share, please?
Turn off the video, please.
Stop
Yeah,
share,
I
please.
give up. I
Thank you.
wish you all do it, not me.
Yeah, so for what's your name? It says Frazzle. That's your name?
Yes. Yes.
Can
Okay.
you repeat the answer, please? I couldn't hear it because of the video.
Okay, real quick to Fraz before I forget this. Find a way to solar power your rodent coils.
Mhm.
And filter out the 60 hertz. You'll have more phenomenal results.
Okay.
Because it's kind of like you working on the dynamics also with the 12, you're still working against the distortion that's feeding the thing. That's a feeling that I'm sharing. So if you find a magnetic motor or a solar powered motor and a 60 hertz filter, you'll have stuff move in your house at some point.
You've already hit on what we're working on. You really are.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. Because I'm like, I sound like an idiot because I have these intuitive feelings where I'm like, I don't have to direct the papers there, but I know when, you know, like Einstein said, if we work with technology that was created from a distorted consciousness, we're not recovering, you know?
So,
We need to work
Renee,
with technology that comes from the divine consciousness.
Yeah. Would you be available if we invite you sometimes to consult you?
Well, after this corona bullshit is over, of course.
Thank you.
Where are you?
Yeah, I mean online.
Online,
we love-
hey,
yeah, we
anytime.
love
I
that.
applaud all you guys that are here. Respect. Like, we're not concentrating on fear and dying. We're creating something, and let's go fantastic. Let's go spastic. Let's you know, put it to the test. You know.
Well, when we first started this theme, I did ask the question, are you afraid to die? Everybody said no. So
No.
that's how we got
I had several near-death experiences I've crossed. I am not afraid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I had visitations for my brother that passed, unfortunately, this year at 48. He's to stop breathing. But I visited him, and people laugh. I was in a review hospital where you have to review your life. And my brother was like, typically how he would be in life. He said, you got those poles with the other side. Get me out of here. I don't want to look at this shit. That's going on. He has to review all of the choices he made in life and then moves on. And I saw it. I was there, as clear as day. No drugs. Did I take no drugs?
There's a few of us. Yeah, there's several of the NDA folks, you know, near-death experience folks in this
I
group,
died.
and
Yeah, I
and it's
freaking
like,
died.
yeah.
no, NDA, Fres, NDE.
NDEs, I don't care.
Well, he means non-disclosure agreement. I get him.
Yeah,
I get
yeah,
it.
yeah, non-disclosure.
That's what he meant.
Yeah.
Anyway, right.
I'm a mad scientist. That's why I get you all. I'm completely berserk. You know,
Oh, it's lovely.
I take a pebble and put it on a street corner and wait till somebody trips just to see a pattern. I'm really nuts.
Yeah, I know you like each other now.
Yeah, and then when somebody trips, I know the probability at what angle a person might hit that corner. So you learn to read like a profiler. You get very smart when you just observe, put something in place, let it marinate, and watch what happens. I learned so much stuff.
Oh, we love to have you in our team.
But I also recommend what all the pros do, microdose. It helps.
Yeah.
all the Silicon Valley dudes, Wall Street, these high-ranking dudes, trust me, they all microdose the L. You know it. I'm serious.
So hey gang, you heard him. He says,
What
get
is
me anytime online.
What is microdose?
Monika, Mikrodosierung von LSD. Macht es Sinn, ja?
Von LSD.
Oh.
Ja. Mikrodosierung.
Ja. Ja, erstmal musst du LSD haben. Ich weiß auch gar nicht, wo das gibt.
Ja, du bist ja nicht in Berlin. Das ist schwierig.
I thought he was talking about adrenochrome.
We have some questions from the chat.
Okay. James, continue with the question.
Walk-in coolers and freezers have compressors that are mounted outside or in the attic or elsewhere. Does that help make the food better? And can making the walk-in not square help even more?
Well, the compressors actually run on 60 hertz. If you're not filtering that out, then you have a problem electromagnetically. There's a company, I think it's called Green Wave Technology, that filters out 60 hertz. I put that on my fridge. Not only that I put my devices that I'm working on an aggregate for a fridge, like a plate that you put over the compressor. You know, the compressor sits in the base. You know, the thing that is like, that's running. That thing emits. Take your, everybody that, once we're done here, take your Gauss meter app or Tesla app, turn it on, open your fridge and hold it in the base and you will be in the red. Anybody can do this.
So why doesn't the refrigerator manufacturers try to filter it out if it can make it more efficient?
If the manufacturer would put 60 hertz filters in their fridges, that's $1 billion industry right there. I just gave you an idea.
They just they probably know about it, but they just don't want people to think this stuff's real, free energy and all that. I'm assuming.
I don't even think it's that conspiratory. I think they're lazy. Then nobody's adding that. It's the same thing with the cell towers. If we can have a phase shift generator attached to a cell tower, it wouldn't be a problem. But nobody's interested in investing or investigating that. So they just put up 5G towers because they're looking at the cheapest way to put it up. Same with chemtrails. Yeah, if they would add gold particles in, let's say, in the fuel tank of a Boeing, you wouldn't have chemtrails. But that's too expensive. Nobody does that. You know, nobody is interested in that.
Okay.
Rene,
yeah.
You won't believe via bubble tech, we changed their mind, and we said, okay, well, 5G and cell phone towers, your energy is no beneficial. Thank you much. And that happened. The fucking birds go land on the cell towers. I can show you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they don't normally do that.
So what's the reach of your bubble tech?
We've done this in a number of places.
Yeah. So what's the reach of your bubble tech? What do you reach mile wise?
They're all connected. They're all infinite, just like everything else. Because we're connected. We do this. Your orgone is better than ours, okay? Because it's finer, just like you say, you know, more surface area. Ours is just concrete, you know, with added just iron oxide. But so what you're connecting up with is the four-sided ethers, which are infinite. The hexagonal ethers, you got all the properties of 3D, okay? You know, square the distance and all that kind of bullshit. You know, decay and so on. In the four-sided ethers, it's just images, you know, and that's where we install quite literally, install the images of things that we want to have happen, and they do, all over the planet, en masse.
Yeah, I like it.
It's pretty heavy duty.
But let's have a plan here, Rene. Do you want to make you want to fuse your creative ideas and technology with Mike's? Well, we can do this together.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I've got all my ingredients ready. You and I can start making one new bubble tech from Mike's, fusing Mike's and yours together. How's that?
Yeah. First is I want to attain Mike's tech and compare, and then my higher self tells me how to merge.
Wonderful. Let's
I always get instructions of how that's merged. I cannot just mix it and then see it. It has to be has to be in a way so it's complementing one another.
Sure.
And I learned that when I have this tech in my home, I can send you some of my tech, you send me some of your tech. Anybody who wants to stay in contact with me, arcturiancouncil@gmail.com, or my website, my contact form, and get at me. I send you samples, not a problem. I make money. I'm good. I'm not hunting.
Okay, Rene, once you're ready, once you've consulted your higher self and the Arcturian Council, and you're ready to merge and fuse the two, let me know. I will coordinate the meeting with Mike, and we'll.
I mean, I go crazy. I make micro dynamic holographic circuitry that I print in aluminum foil, reflective, that send out information that you can put on your phone, like
Smarties.
Yeah, like I use security labels. Like the company didn't know what I wanted, so I just talk. It's like, do you print security? You got to talk 3D. When somebody is a muggle in this little 3D, then you got to talk 3D. They didn't understand what I want, so I made them basically print my image on a security label because that's what they understand. But the industry doesn't produce what you see here. The industry doesn't produce that. It doesn't exist like in that way.
Monica, would you like to make this with us together? I will give you the list of ingredients to buy and together, and then we can make the bubble tech fused with Rene's technology as well. Anyway.
Yeah,
actually, I started one, and that's the hardest part. That's really the hardest part. The list that Mike shared is blocking us all over. I mean, I have the list, but it's not such a fun ride, no?
Oh yeah, I know it took me a long time. Yeah.
Maybe we can make it into some kind of halo that you can possibly put around your head on your bed and put your pillow on top of it, obviously.
The simplest is my pendant. You don't have to mix anything. You put it around your neck and get into the experience how your field expands to begin with, And I go from a very low price to very high tech. That's up to you. But they all do the same thing.
We have another question from audience. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you have any input about Dr. Wallach's spiritual auger that digs out the accumulations of silt from the mountains, from getting to the oceans, from man-made dams, which blocks the melt down and runoff to get into the oceans, which has been killing off coral reefs? Do you have any idea what that's about?
Well, I have an idea how to beat this. Sometimes I say BS is not what you think it is. BS means belief system. Very interesting.
Okay.
So, in order to bring the coral reef back, I have another invention that I stumbled upon. Is I fill my nanosubstrates in what they call submersibles, as it submerge, like stainless steel eggs. That, let's say we go to the barrier reef in Australia, and let them sit, and then the pH level regulates, the fish return, and the water produces its own natural oxygen, and the reef comes back. That's the major problem. The problem is that the pH level is nearly acidic. That's why the barrier reef, everybody knows, biologically, it's like 98% dead. It's almost gray and white. The water is acidic. There's lack of oxygen, algae, and decay. And to defeat that, I wish I had like Tony Stark money. I would go there with a freaking cargo ship and divers and drop hundreds of those eggs in that reef, and I guarantee you it'll come back. That's the only thing that's missing. It'll replenish itself. It's basically missing photons, magnetic alignment, and regulated pH levels in the water. Nothing else. And we have tested it with a fish tank. We had a glass blower blow a glass bubble. I put holy water in that, and then nanoparticles that are infused with photons, and had it sealed without the water evaporating in it. It's a bitch to create. And put it in a fish tank and remove the oxygen pump. Algae is removed, pH level is regulated, fish live, and oxygen is produced. No electricity needed. It works. I haven't even released that. We know it works, because we have to figure out a glass blower It's really like insane to make it. In order to close the glass bubble in Pyrex glass, you don't want the water in the bubble to evaporate while it's still hot, which is almost impossible. So to mass produce that, everybody looks at me like I got 3 heads. Like you're insane. But I'll find a way to where we make that possible. I'm thinking about maybe closing the entrance, leaving it open, and closing it with you know, the aquarium silicone, and just fill it and don't seal the glass so the water actually stays in there, and then submerge it and hope it lasts at least 50 years and we're good.
Right,
So,
James, next question. You have to move
Yeah.
on because it's almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, so I noticed one of your products, you were selling some kind of, I guess, orgone type base, the forgonite.
Yeah,
and
forgonite.
It has shungite in it, which is 2% C60. So I was just curious, what are your thoughts about C60?
Yeah, I don't think it is death technology, party people. Because if you observe animals in Russia that for hundreds of years, when they get sick, they go to the mines where the shungite lies and they lick it and they get better, no more questions, Your Honor. Yeah, I look at nature. If these animals would all freaking die, I would be like, it's death technology. I mean, no diss to Dr. Jerry. I believe in the Russia technology, but I don't believe that if a harmonized molecule links up and the bonding angle of substrates becomes better has anything to do with death technology. If anything is death technology is 5G because it's close to microwave. Yeah. And that can be proven. But I think these buckyballs show more stability in bridges. If you build a house and there's a reason, according to sacred geometry, it's not just based on Buckminster Fuller that found that existed in nature way before. I have a friend that has a geodesic dome, and she doesn't need an AC nor a heater because in the winter and in the summer, the house stays at 69 degrees. Well, what does that tell you? That's not death technology. That means it's working. And I look at, show me that it's not working, or show me that somebody is dying. And shungite comes from Russia, where that meteorite came down, and that mineral the animals seek out and lick when they're sick. They naturally know what's going on. Same thing like this. Let's see, if you're at the beach and all animals run land inward, run. 6 hours later, you'll have a tsunami that will wipe out everything. Animals and nature knows more than we, with our conspiratory theories, conjure up. So I don't believe that these buckyballs are death technology. Also, I've seen the flower of life is the seed of life shows up in a subatomic microscopic picture of a beryllium crystal, which is as harmless as a doorknob. And you see the natural pattern of energy forming harmonious scalar waves, hence the flower of life. This is ancient, this is so old, and it's divine technology. And I've tested that with regular mineral water. You place that on a golden, 24 karat gold embedded flower of life bottle, and you put it in a regular bottle, and you put it in a plastic container. Well, the plastic container rots first because it's petroleum based, it's anti-life. The regular bottle, depending on if it's borosilicate, it lasts longer, and the one with the gold lasts forever. That's not death technology. It's whatever people, PhD, whatever they got, come on, and you got to get a little bit off that horse. It is not death technology, no. And you can test it at home.
I also see that you've had the flower life symbol on some of your products, or at least the advertising part. So
yeah, I play with that because it's life enhancing. I mean, it brings flowers back, seeds bloom. I mean, I had the seed of life. I can show you real quick. This experiment is over now, but I had plants growing in a borosilicate glass bottle. There's no soil in there. See how the seeds are creating roots? So it's working. I have a bottle like this with the flower of life and rice in it, and it doesn't rot. So I don't think that's has anything to do with death. 0, 0. You know, I think it's life affirming. And I think every image that's harmoniously drawn, according to the golden means, is life affirming. And the flower of life is in the golden means. The pyramid is in the golden means. The Acropolis is in the golden means. You know, there are actually math rulers that have the ratio. Dan Winters produced a new one. It's called the Harmonizer, where you can look at the dome in Cologne and see the roof and the angles all in the golden means. You want to tell me that's technology? I don't believe so. That's why these buildings last that long. They built according to the resonant frequency of the earth. And that's what I look at. And that's what I believe.
Maybe he was talking about the date due, the lifespan. We're supposed to be eternal beings. So
yeah, we are like that. We shed skin. I think that we used to take our bodies with us. If you watch movies like Stargate, we used to download consciousness and upload consciousness to these capacitors. I think they were interdimensional. I think all the pyramids, the Temple of Baalbek, Teotihuacan, Tikal, were downloading stations where you can basically download consciousness into an avatar that was preserved. When the interstellar priesthood that tried to fix this planet has left, all of this turned to shits, and basically they buried mummies and disemboweled them because they didn't want these beings to come back. They found mass graves in Peru with elongated heads. These were probably extraterrestrial hybrids, partially humanoid, and they killed all of them because they were scary to the lesser developed beings. And in Egypt, this is very clearly depicted, is that they were the gods, and then they were the children of the gods, and their elongated heads all of a sudden were not so elongated, but they were called the lesser gods, of course. Hybridized extraterrestrials, elongated heads, growing smaller, losing their gifts, losing their skills, DNA becomes diluted or changed, and they digressed. And it's all described in history. You know, we did this before, we've been here before, we just have to remember that it was so and stop fighting it. And those who fight, in my opinion, have cognitive dissonance, and they're still running the old priesthood, which was of the fallen consciousness, you know. The others are open and they go forward and they will survive. The rest will die out. That was prophesized, and over time that will happen. Not in a calamity, but over time. The resistance will just die out. It doesn't work, you know?
Right, James, next question. We got to close soon. It's like a bit long.
Well, I was just wondering, maybe are you working with any nonprofits to assist in maybe humanitarian projects to restore the environment? You've got so many great ideas, and apparently there is money right now flowing for environmental cleanup. You could probably get some access to some grants.
James, asking the wrong question. Joking.
Sorry.
That's when you want to talk and drink at the same time. Mechanically, that's impossible. Don't try it. So, a lot of things are in the works. A lot of things are bubbling. Trust it. That's all I'm allowed to say.
Thank you. Good. Sweet and short.
Good.
Okay, I think we need to wrap
it's coming.
up. Yeah. Wonderful. We will catch up again, Rene. And I'm sure you have a lot more to share. And we can always schedule another speaking session for you at Physics Future Meeting. Okay?
Certainly.
Oh, you need to drink a sip of water now. Right.
I'm trying to calm it down.
I know. Press, have you got any last say for this meeting?
I'm really appreciative for everybody that's been here today and some excellent questions. And we'll be looking forward to seeing all of you again next month with our FESIG meeting. Back to you, Crystal.
You want Rene back for next month's meeting? Rene?
Well, sometime, anytime.
Cool. Yeah. I mean,
I'm open. I'm a crazy nut. Trust me, I'm not conservative at all. I'm non-linear as shit.
Hang on. Next meeting is what date is it? So you gotta pen it down, Rene. We won't let you go away now. So
I believe it's the 7th.
7th. Next meeting, 7th of October. Yay. So
hey, rock and roll.
Would you pen it down in your diaries, 7th of October, right?
I put it in my Apple calendar, which will remind me that
Cool. Right. So, Pontus, any last say? No?
I was put out.
Okay, you didn't.
So,
I can see
yeah.
you. Ron?
So Rene, Mike Emery here. I'd like, do you have time for us to chat right after this?
a little later. Can you you have my email, arcturiancouncil@gmail.com.
I will give
have
to
it.
Mike. I will give it to Mike.
So let me contact you because it's been a long day, and I have some stuff to do also, and then
Okay,
then
I will
contact you.
put-
So I'm more in a space of chatting because then I'm
Right. I will put Mike's contact on your chat
yeah
box. Okay?
I put it on
Sure.
the chat box or in Messenger, Facebook.
Sure. Okay. Right. So
I'm glad it worked with all your router problems and internet stuff. Wow, God, this was a mess.
Thank God.
You got a
Yeah,
new router
it was-
now, or what happened? Did
No,
they
no,
come?
I hadn't got a new router yet. It's still to be sent to me. It's crazy. It's up and down, you know.
Who knows? Maybe you have interdimensional interference. That also can happen.
I was praying that it's going to be smooth throughout. Yeah, I prayed.
Good,
that
good,
it
good. So
worked
you
throughout.
manifested. You
I did
manifested.
manifest that. Yeah. Anyway, so there being no other business, this second session of the 80th FESIG meeting is now adjourned to the 81st meeting on the 7th of October.
I'm honored, really, and to meet such brilliant minds and sensitive people that get it, and it's so lovely, you know, that we are not competitive, like we're all unifying everything, you know. But as they say, the proof is in the pudding, you know. We need to we need to see when the rubber meets the road. In Germany, they say that's the moment when the frog jumps into the water, as in saying, das ist der Moment, wenn der Frosch ins Wasser rennt.
Right. I've got the recording off now, Press.
Yeah.
I did
Oh,
say it.
no. I am sorry, I do not have a copy.
Renee,
where are you?
Pontus, you can stop the recording now.